Okay, hi, it's Lori and Mike, and we're doing a hangout. So welcome everybody to the show, and or we're going to call it a show because it could go on for a while. I've got the camera rolling for 3 hours, and we can stop it anywhere along the way when we feel like we've run out of things to talk about. I've spoken with Mike before, and we've yet to run out of things to talk about. So say hi, Mike.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Okay, so obviously we have a couple of agenda things that we would like to start talking about, and the two top things that sort of made the title of the hangout about is, you know, information on bringing everybody around to thinking about, how do we do this without leaders? And do we need leaders? And if we do need leaders, how do we select them? And then the second part, or in addition, we can just go back and forth. Mike and I are just going to sort of freestyle because we've talked before extemporaneously without having no written materials. And so the other thing we want to talk about is an issue that's important to both Mike and I, and to a lot of other people in the community, and that is why are we even doing this, and what is our goal? What is our mission of the Flat Earth community, the Flat Earth movement, and what about the edge? What about what's out there? How do we determine how we define that, and how do we get to whether there's a dome or whether there's more, or whether how are we going to explore finding out? So
Okay, I think that it's going to get easier with time to really expose that we're on a flat Earth. What we're doing today would have been much more difficult, back in the 1990s, for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have the advancement in technology. So we have smartphones that can communicate, within the flash of an eye. I can talk to somebody and I can talk to them live, kind of like what we're doing right here. So we can exchange information, okay? And because we can exchange information, now we can say, okay, you over there, tell me where the moon is at, and I'll tell you where the moon is at. We have telescopes, and very advanced telescopes, where we can look and we can peer out to see if this actually occurred. So there's a lot of things. And then now we have airplanes that can get, really, really high, and people for themselves can see the horizon still at eye level. So because of all of these things that are now rolling into play, it's becoming easier to expose it. So I think in due time it's going to be easy. But the thing is, it's a very serious subject. I think this flat Earth thing, it's like, you talk about, Mahatma Gandhi, like leading, we need something like that, because this thing is serious business. If we're not on the ball, then somebody tell me, what are we standing on? Because for most of my life, I thought we were on the ball. Now, right. If I'm not on the ball, where am I?
Well, exactly. And, one of the things that has sort of occurred to me in the last weeks is I really thought that it was up to us to prove that the Earth is flat. But we actually don't have to do that. We actually only have to prove that it's not a spinning ball, because the rest of it will fall into place, what it actually is, when we can disprove their so-called proofs, because they don't have any. And their so-called proofs are illusions, lies, mathematical equations that don't add up to anything, reverse engineered ad hoc theories that support the one lie after another. One guy says, oh, it's a ball. And then, well, it doesn't work out to be a ball unless it's, we have gravity. Okay, well, let's make gravity. And then it just kept snowballing from there. and one guy added another theory onto another theory onto another one, and pretty soon it became indoctrination and brainwashing, and that one of my favorite sayings is, well, because that's the way it's always been. And so once we get in that place, because that's the way it's always been, that stops people from questioning. And so we're at a place now that's unlike any time in the last several hundred years, and that is there is a large and growing group of people who are questioning their very existence, their very ground they stand on, their very reality. And so once you get to a place where you got a lot of people questioning reality, okay, then you somebody is going to want a definition of them. If it's not that, then what is it? Because you can't live with no reality for very long. And so you have to have a replacement format. So people are filling in the blanks as fast as they can with replacement theories. And that's wrong. That's wrong thinking, because what could happen is multitudes of things that I see happening, like arguments that my theory is better than your theory, or my theory has more grounding in it, more basis, more ad hoc support theories than yours does. But it also limits when you have a group of theories put out there and you have no new science to support any of those theories, which we're also having to reinvent a lot of scientific things because we're having to throw out support science that supports the ball along with the ball, right?
Right.
So my next thought is, okay, so if people are starting to argue already, and this movement is building steam, it's still very new, very fresh, okay? So fresh that the mainstream media has not even approached speaking on it yet. They haven't approached telling us what we're supposed to think, because that's what they do. They get their pundits and they all sit around in a circle at a table and they all tell us what is the news, and here's what you're supposed to think about it. And then let's add some fear, and then let's add some drama and distraction and some film at 11. And that's what everybody's used to. So when you throw all that out, then you have to start all over with, okay, well, we need new news. We need a new format. We need new news tellers, news readers. We need new scientists, new theories. So how do you think we can kind of get a handle, kind of get some reins on this sort of runaway movement that's beginning?
Wow. Well, what we're doing actually is the most important fight that there is to mankind. There's nothing more important than this, because and that's what we have to show people, that there is nothing more important than this. A lot, like you said earlier, a lot of people are caught up in the fear, the propaganda, what Kanye West was wearing yesterday. Oh, when's the Super Bowl? Okay, we're all going to come over and have beers. Like, that's on people's mind. People aren't thinking on the level, and they're not thinking in these terms. And so we're in a tough situation, but at the same time, it's going to happen, because I think there's going to be enough of us, like a sizable number, like a breaking point, when not everybody, there's still going to be people who hold on to the ball regardless, but there's going to be, like, it may go from 10,000 to 50,000, and it may end up to a point where NASA's going to just have to throw in the towel. They're going to have to. I mean, the last picture they put out was Pluto, the freaking Disney character. So my thing is, it didn't take
very long for people to insinuate the Disney caricature right on top of the Pluto and go, well, hey, there it is.
Right. and I was telling Math Boylan, I said, you know, it's at some point it's just they're gonna have to throw in the towel. And you know, we were talking along those lines. We're on the most serious thing that there is, because if there is more land, that means that we're being fooled by somebody. Well, we were already fooled when they gave us the ball. Okay, so that was the first trick we bit into. The second point may be that it's a flat plane, and then there's more land that goes outward. I think we shouldn't jump to conclusions and say there's a dome, because the first thing people will tell you is that they would say, well, okay, it's a snow globe. Okay, there's a dome over top. It's flat. So what? I got to go back to work. You know, there's other things for me to worry about in life. Big freaking deal, right? But if you tell people that there's more land, see, then people are going to be motivated to go see, because people are going to be curious. And if we get people to start looking to see what's beyond Antarctica, then we can expose the whole thing 1, 2, 3.
Well, okay, so here's the dilemma, though. The flat earth community is made up of so many different and diverse types of people with diverse backgrounds, religions, races, cultures, everything. And they each are coming to the party dressed in a different costume and bringing with them baggage of their entire lives, what they've known, what they've believed, what they've read, what they've been brought up to, you know, cultural backgrounds, their level of education, and all kinds of things. Okay, so it's very hard for human beings to unbrainwash themselves and unindoctrinate themselves and get rid of all of the old thoughts in order to entertain new thoughts. And so we're dealing with people who, you know, this group of people brings with them a religious-based belief system that, for example, you know, the Bible says we live on a created earth with a firmament over the top, you know all that, okay?
Right.
And then you have people who are non-religious, 100% non-religious. Doesn't mean they're not spiritual, just means they don't have a religion they practice.
Right.
And so they come to the party with no. You know, that's all bogus. You don't really believe the little black book, do you? And all that stuff. So already, you know, you have that degree of diversity starting out fresh. So nobody's saying there's no dome, but we shouldn't be saying there is one either, just because we don't have any proof. And where we are, though, is what do they know? What do they know? Those that protect the wall, those that protect the edge, the military, the militaries of the countries that belong to the Antarctica Treaty. What do they know? When did they know it? And why don't they think we should know? And if they don't know, then why are they protecting something they don't know? You know yourself, if you were the military, or you were the UN, or you were the people who sit around that pyramid-shaped table, which I always get a big kick out of, down at where all the treaty organization people meet, the table that looks like a pyramid. That's not too obvious.
Yeah.
So they, you know, they've been meeting since what, 1951 or 49 or something, before they started this treaty. So I just hardly can imagine that if I were one of the people who were on this committee, that I wouldn't have mounted multiple expeditions into as far as the eye could go and the body could reach. We've all seen videos now, not all, but a lot of us have seen videos of mysterious new, you know, photos and videos coming out of Antarctica with this terrain that doesn't have any ice on it, and looks like mountains and valleys and there's water, and there's these odd-shaped rocks, and the weird sea lion that's flash frozen or whatever, petrified, that we've seen in the video. It's like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? Don't be telling me that's 6,000 years old. How come it's still laying there like it was frozen yesterday? And all of this new information, I don't know if it's being leaked. I don't know if they're purposefully putting it out there slowly but surely to begin a process of, disclosure. I don't know. But where we are is we should want to know what they're hiding, why they're hiding it, and why we can't all, or any of us, freely go there. That's doesn't have any religion, background, culture, nothing. That's right now, today, right now.
Right. Let's find out why are they protecting us from ICE? I mean, why are they protecting us from ICE? I mean, so
is there an ice monster?
Right.
I mean, are there like a billion ice monsters out there, and don't go there because you're going to be eaten by an ice monster or frozen or something?
And I wouldn't mind them telling me if I was going to be eaten by an ice monster.
Well,
Just tell me.
Are we going to go there? Are we going to turn into people popsicles, and then the ice monsters are going to eat us for breakfast or put us in the freezer for later? I mean, come on. What are we hiding there?
Right. They say we can't. According to the Antarctica Treaty, I believe there's 13 articles or something like that. And the gist of it is, and these
it's all about protection. Yeah, right. Like Agenda 21 is.
right. We don't want any nuclear testing going on here. So you got to be sanctioned by your nation, and you got to go through. For me to probably get an application to go and, well, first of all, I would need the banks to back me. That would be the first thing. And the banks are not going to back anybody who's going to try to expose this thing.
No.
So the bankers are the really ones who know what's going on. Just follow the money. They know what's going on. Yeah. So the UN is just a one snake on this dragon, and yeah.
Well, look at it this way, okay? Now let's go back to these two factions of people, and there's like everything in between these two factions. But we have the faction of the religious-based, ancient documents, ancient writings, biblical writings, Torah, and then we have people who don't believe in any of that, okay?
Right.
And some people over here believe there's more, and some people believe there's a dome, and some people over here believes there's more, and they also believe there's a dome. So religion actually doesn't have anything to do with who believes what. Wholeheartedly, anyway.
Well, the way I classify it is for anyone who's listening out there, I'm just being sarcastic here, but people who believe in the dome are religious, right? And then people who believe in the so-called infinite plane are like the hippies. And
no. I mean, no, they're not, because I've talked to both. I really have. I've talked to both. I've talked to both factions of people. I've talked to religious-based people who say, no, the Bible says we live on a ball. We live on a sphere, a circle. They interpret the word circle as a ball, as a sphere, okay?
Right.
Then there's other religious people who interpret the word circle as a round pizza flat thing, okay? Circular this way, okay? Right. So that's two factions inside the faction of the religious community, okay? Right. And then you have these people over here who are non-religious, completely sectarian, and I have talked to both sides of those people who some believe in the infinite plane or a larger plane.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They don't even know how to wrap their mind around infinite.
Right.
And actually neither do I, but I kind of sort of can. Okay.
Right.
Infinite to me means you can just keep walking until you die and you won't run out of walking places.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So But then I also have spoken to people on this side who believe there is a dome, but it's more like an enclosed world Mark Sargent version.
Right, like where it's like a snow globe and the stars are attached to the snow globe.
Yeah, like a whole steampunk kind of created system, mechanical, not, like a combination between bio and techno and all that. Okay. A symbiotic biomechanical thing. Okay.
That would be kind of creepy, but yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
well, that's truly, to me, that's truly the prison planet. Okay.
Yeah, I can't criticize anyone's. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the deal. Now, I just identified 2 factions within 2 groups. Okay. And I have literally spoken to and communicated with and, argued or discussed or debated both realms. Okay. Because of the Facebook group that I have, that is not that big, but the group that I have, flatearthconspiracy.com on Facebook, which is a closed group. Then I also have Free Our Flat Earth, which is a public group. I have the Flat Earth Conspiracy public group. So altogether, you add up all these people, they're probably like 1,000 people. Okay, maybe a few more. Okay. Now, in those groups, predominantly, I know there's some trolley people in there, some ballers who just come in and lurk and don't really say anything because they know that they'll just get totally bombed. Okay.
Yeah.
But these are almost all exclusively flat Earth people, believers, or on the fence, rolling on the flat Earth side. Okay. So I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of diverse kind of people, and I go on record over and over again trying to make sure people understand that as questioning as I am, as alert, smart as I am, I cannot find a bridge between any or all of the flat Earth believers. Okay, not yet.
Well, what you're doing is actually the smartest thing to do. Have discernment. Be able to break things up and look at things as individual pieces rather than just clumping everything in together. That's critical thinking. That's being very analytical in what you're doing. And with this subject, you got to be, because you don't want to be brainwashed and somebody coming along and 10 years later, we're kicking ourselves in the butt, was like, damn, the earth isn't flat. We were wrong the whole. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but to go from one belief system that was wrong to another belief system that's wrong, only because you were so adamant about not believing in the lie anymore that you just fell for the next version of lie, perhaps. Okay.
Right.
So with that, then that becomes sort of exasperated, I guess you would call it, with all of the different groups that are forming, with all of the different people in all the different groups who are now trying to what I call collecting evidence. Okay. They have a belief that this comes from their gut or their heart or their mind or something, but they have a belief. And then the next thing they do is go and collect evidence to support their belief. Okay. So if, for example, they believe that the earth was created by a creator God who made all of these perfectly symbiotic systems and has been supporting this whole scenario for thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands, nobody knows, okay? Then the likely thing you would do is you would go and gather evidence to support your case, okay? That is not the scientific method, but that's what people are accustomed to doing. Because in a debate format, if you're trying to defend your position, you're going to go out and you're going to find as much evidence, whether it's ad hoc theories or, birds flew over because I found a feather in my yard. Okay. that kind of thinking. I know birds flew over my house because I found a feather in my yard. Now, they don't even consider that someone drove by and flung the feather out the window from another place where another bird had left it. They don't. You see where I'm going?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
So what's happening is you're having all these diverse groups forming that are gathering evidence to support their theory. Okay. And what's brewing here is this, I'm right because I got more evidence. No, look at all the evidence I have. Okay. So then it becomes an intramural basketball game. Okay. Where, all the same players on the same school team play against each other. Okay. So now we have intramural flat earth movement communities dividing and dividing and dividing and dividing some more. Okay.
Right.
This is where we segue, in my opinion, to talk about the leadership thing.
Right.
Okay. So we all know that the natural cultural thing that we've been all grown up with is to have leaders, to have county leaders, city leaders, state leaders, federal government leaders, world leaders. And so we've grown up in a follower culture because leaders create followers, or actually followers create leaders, which is more the way it works. So let's talk about how do we do this without leaders, and is it even possible? Has it ever been done? And I can answer that question. No grassroots organized thing has ever become successful without leaders. How do we, as this community already of people, decide who the leaders are? How do we make them? Do we make a council? Do we create an online system where we can all go in and vote on things or discuss things, or create a declaration of independence from those who would hold us hostage from there?
Yeah, I think that it would be better to not. Okay, let me put it to you like this. I think everyone should become their own leader, because what'll happen is, if you get a leader can be taken out. A leader can be bribed, right? So you need to get a code of conduct, like a constitution almost, where like Walmart, for example, it isn't like one guy. See, that's a lot of misconception. I don't know if most people understand this. I get it, so I'll explain it. A CEO of Walmart doesn't really run anything. He's just like the manager of McDonald's. The people run everything are the board of directors. They're the guys who are paying the bills. They're the ones who are funding everything. And they're connected to the bankers. So if the CEO of Walmart gets taken out, they'll put another guy in there, but it doesn't change the policy of Walmart. Walmart is still Walmart.
Exactly.
And so if we have leaders, it's not going to work. If we have like this one leader, like if we appoint Matt Boylan to like stand on a throne, and he's like the leader, they'll take him out, they'll take me out, they'll take whoever they put up there. So I think if we get people to understand the earth is flat and get like a sort of like a constitution almost, and we hold true to that, because the shills are going to be coming in and they're going to be trying to twist it. They're going to try to derail it.
Gonna be coming in. Holy cow!
Right. They're in there like a hornet's nest, right? So the thing is we need a constitution. We need to have it. A book is really a good constitution. Like if a lot of people will use what's the guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. But like people will go to Plato, right? And they'll use Plato's book as a template for how their philosophy.
Okay.
And so we need to have like a really good book come out, or like a somebody write up a document, you know, like the Bible's a book, right? And so
Right.
that becomes people's dominant mindset. So books are great, you know. People should go out and buy my
Okay.
book.
Okay. Little plug.
Yeah, right.
I've been talking to a few people for several weeks now who, you know, you and I talked about it probably, I think the first time we ever talked on the phone, that, you know, we need to come up with a constitution, a declaration of independence, a code of ethics, a code of morals, a code of, you know, rules, something that everybody, you know, can thrive under, not be put their thumb under, right? That allows for everyone to agree on certain premises about what is the flat Earth movement. It needs to be defined. What is it? Why is it happening? Who's doing what? It's just like any other system of either government or large corporations or anything. You have a hierarchy of people who are doing, some people are doing more than other people. Okay. Some people are getting their name out there more than other people. It doesn't mean they're any better, wiser, smarter, stronger. It just means that they're having their name out there more. Okay. If there were an election to be held tomorrow, then you would pretty much agree that there's probably 3 to 5 people who would be running for president. Okay. On the flat Earth ticket. Okay. So, but here's the bigger picture, the more important question. Not who will lead the people, but who will speak for the people. Because that's another thing that's about to come in our picture frame here. And that is the media is not going to be able to ignore this for very much longer, because it's, I mean, I don't know about you, and it's because I'm in it, and it's because you're in it, that all day long on our Facebook feed, for example, all we see all day long is flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. Okay. We've become friends with more flat Earth people. You know, our old friends who we used to talk about other things with have sort of dropped by the wayside. And now we have all this new people and this new energy and all that stuff. But if you turned on the TV, it would be like flatline on flat Earth. Okay. Yeah. So it's coming, it's inevitable. You know, and I've said this before in other hangouts with people that, you know, I was involved in the Occupy, and I believe you were too. And Occupy was happening whether the media spoke of it or not. It was pretty much the heart and soul of the alternative media for about a year or maybe 6 months. And yet the media waited after the Occupy movement had a really strong start before they ever came out with their version or their spin or their determination of where they were going to take it, which was right down the toilet. Mm-hmm. I, for one, am not too excited about letting them dictate the direction of the spin of flat Earth. Spin, such an operative word here. And so, but at the same time, I am fearful of any particular spokesperson letting the media make someone a spokesperson rather than the movement and the community define someone as a spokesperson. Because in my opinion, we've put up with that for hundreds of years already in the United States, for example. You know, we have a president, we have leaders in the Congress, and so on and so on. And we don't trust any of them. So, right. You know, Mark Sargent did a little video a few days ago, and he said, you need to learn to trust someone. Well, I trust several people. but I have to know them first, and I have to have
Right.
conversations with them first, and I have to know a little bit of their background. And I need to know at least as much as the bank knows. I need to know your mother's maiden name, and I need to know the name of your first pet, because
Yeah.
until I've had enough conversations with you to know that much about you, I don't
Right.
know your history, your past. I don't know your
Right.
heart. I don't know your philosophy. I
Hmm.
only know what comes out of your mouth, and that could all be
Right.
lies, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. That's very again, that's critical thinking. That's being able to analyze things, because you don't just want to open your arms up to everybody and just hug the world. I mean, I wish I can do that, but the reality is there's people there I can't trust. So I have to really see what you're about, see where your head is at. Now, I'm not paranoid. I don't walk around with this paranoia. I'm just saying that I analyze things and I look at people. If we go out and have a beer together, I watch little things that you do. I try to get to analyze person, but not paranoia, or I'm not like, stalking
Well,
the person.
I believe the word is guarded, and I
Yeah,
think that's a healthy place to be in.
right,
Guard.
right. Guard it. So, in this day and age, we kind of got to be that way, because we're not living in I hate to say it, we're not living in a normal world. Everything's upside down. Yeah.
We live in Sim City is what we live in, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we're online with people, but do we really know them? No. Can they be a really great actor? Could they be playing a role? Could they be, ingratiating themselves with you and becoming buddy and everything? And then the next thing you know, they do things like what happened to me the other day, where someone copied the entire conversation that we had been having in my inbox on Facebook. The sacred inbox is not sacred anymore.
No.
It screen captured the entire conversation among that and a joint conversation with a bunch of other people that we were having a group chat, and shared it with someone. And so, who do you trust? Well, there's a lot of ways that you used to be able to trust people that you can't go by anymore. Okay, sadly, that is
Yeah.
sad but true, right?
Right.
So with regards to leaders, again, I can be honest and forthright and say, when I first started listening to, say, Eric Dubay, in some radio interviews and things like that, and I liked what he said. He seemed well-spoken. He seemed like his philosophy was very naturally aligned with mine and a whole lot of other people. And then the next thing I know, he starts talking about some issues that became more and more controversial. And then the next thing you know, our philosophies are not aligned at all. Okay.
Right.
So that has happened with other people who would be considered some of the top names, not necessarily leaders. Leaders, again, leaders are not made. You don't decide that you're going to be the leader and just say,
Right.
da-da-da, come with me, follow me, I'm the leader. And then
Right.
you start walking and you turn around and no one's behind you. Okay. Followers make the leader.
Right.
So if you have 3 leaders and each one of those leaders has its followers, okay, then what happens naturally is my leader's better than your leader. Oh no, my leader's the best leader because here's why. And then yep. And then infighting, and now we have war. We have division, we have war, and nobody, if you ask all those people, what started this war? Do you remember what started this war? Well, so-and-so said, and then you go and say, did you say that? And they go, I never said that. And then the whole thing is now, what even happened? Where's all this drama coming from? And who did it? And then you come to find out that it wasn't even anybody within the movement. It was these outsiders who came in, who took, Lori aside and said, hey, guess what? Said about you. And then you go, oh, damn. And then they say to Mike, hey, Mike, guess what Lori said about you? And then you go, wait a minute, I thought I knew Lori, and I thought she would never say anything like that. And now I'm mad. But you're not mad enough to call me up and say, did you say this? And know that if I said, hell no, I didn't say that. Would I say that? If I was going to say that, I'd just say that to your damn face, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's a problem with followers making the leader. That's a problem with leaders deciding they want to be the leader. Okay. So now what do we do? Okay. So that's where you automatically come to forming a council.
Right.
That's a natural next step, is to form some kind of a council that gets together, and we'll call them the founding fathers.
Right.
Okay.
So if one member in that council acts up, the other 9 kicks him out.
Right.
And so the group watches
or starts to infiltrate with their philosophy something that the other 8 people, for example, don't agree with. And this person is the dissenting opinion. Let's think of the Supreme Court. Okay. So if you have a council, how do you form this council? How do you choose these people?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think with that one, we would just have to let time always shows people's true colors. So I believe that, like, yeah, you can fake the funk for a little while, but you're going to slip up, and I'm going to see something after a year or two. Okay.
Well, you also have to think about not only who would be the leaders in this council, because they're going to become leaders. In other words, they're going to become, not dictators of policy or any of that, but they're going to be giving input. Okay. They're going to be the founding inputters of the information. Okay. So say, for example, if someone came to me and they said, because I'm well on record, nobody could ever say Lori Frary wants so-and-so to be the leader. Okay. Because I'm well on record, no leaders. I can't even tell you how many times I've said it. Okay. Right. It's like that I could be accused of brainwashing people according to the brainwashing policy. Okay. Right. So if someone came to me and they said, we want you to be a leader. Okay. We want you to be on this council, or came to you and said, we want you to be on this council. Okay. My first reaction would be, oh, hell no. Right. I would rather feed the council than be on the council, because that's a huge responsibility, one that I wouldn't take lightly, and one that I wouldn't serve for very long. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have people who felt that way about it, okay, because there's people out there who would buy their seat on a council. You know what I'm saying? They would do anything. They would be anything, be all things to all people, tell you the sky is blue, and tell you it's gray, and tell you it's yellow on the same day, as long as they were pretty sure you all didn't know each other. Okay. Right. So how do you use a process of elimination to form this council? Because the founding fathers, let's go back to them and use them as an example, or even the Roman forum guys. Okay. Right. How did that start? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't really know, because I've heard different theories. But with history is probably the I mean, you want to talk about NASA being bad science. I mean, history is just a mess. Like, you literally have to hand pick and try to find some true facts in history, right? So, because everything is recorded in books, and if the books get burned, and then
and we all know history is written by the winner.
Right. So history's bad, but how they did it, that I don't know. Now, I would imagine it was something like what's happening now, where you have certain individuals like Matt Boylan, Eric Dubé, Mark Sargent. You got certain people who are outspoken. The problem is, in the flat earth community, we were all on the same team when this thing first took off.
Yeah, now everybody hates everybody.
Everybody hates everybody. So
everybody's shill. Everybody's.
Yeah.
I even made the shill list. I'm still completely clueless as to why I made the shill list. I'm completely clueless.
Yeah,
I mean nothing to anyone. I was just do having my little Lori life. Along the way, flat earth fell in my lap, and my natural tendency when I get involved in something, I really get involved in it. I get passionate about it. Okay, I don't get psycho or any of that. I just get passionate about it. This is cool. And I haven't run across anything that's been quite this cool in my whole life. Okay.
Right.
So how I got targeted as a shill, it mystifies me, and it's still going on today. I mean, day by day, somebody new is calling me a shill for a totally different reason than the last one did. Okay. Take
it as a compliment. Take it as a compliment, because
it's pretty hard to do, Mike. You haven't had a target on your back for several months now, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I can see to it.
Here's the thing about Eric Dubé. He's not. I mean, look, I liked the guy when he first came out. I think his ideas on animals and everything, we're on the same boat as that. But I had to get off the boat when he went down that one way. And I'm not going to go over that whole thing again. But what I'm going to say is that I think his time has come. I hate to say it, but he did a few things, in my opinion, will hurt him in the long run. And I think he's not ever going to be marketable. Like, I mean, you don't like Jews? Well, guess who's running Hollywood? I mean, not all Jews. There's no Jewish conspiracy. But I'm saying there's Jewish people everywhere. You got wealthy Jews, you got poor Jews.
Yeah,
right?
It wouldn't have mattered who he targeted. If he had targeted Catholics or if he had targeted Muslims or whoever,
right.
That particular group, whoever he would have focused on, we're not talking about targets, we're talking about focus. So the only one who hasn't done something like that is Mark Sargent, and so that probably was. Well, Matthew got caught up. Matthew is an artist like me. He's passionate, emotional, intense. And so he kind of got sucked in to some things that maybe he now looks back and wishes he hadn't, or maybe he that's just him and he's okay with plowing through everything with a great big wide machete and don't care. And going.
I think Matt.
Just keep going. Whatever. We're on a ride.
I think Matt is still. He's still. He didn't do anything. I mean, look what Charlie Sheen's done, right? So we can put. Matt Boyle hasn't even come close to that. But as far as Eric, when you're attacking a whole group, though, that is kind of where you're overstepping. So my thing is, as far as leaders, the mouthpieces of the flat earth, I think is going to boil down to Matt Boylan and Mark Sargent. And even though I don't agree with Mark Sargent's model and all like that, I have nothing personal against any of these guys. And let me just say that too. I have nothing personal.
Well, I mean, I seem to have managed to remain friendly with both of those guys, and will continue to do so because I'm reactionary when it comes to my friends. In other words, I treat everybody like a perfect stranger first, and then as my relationship grows with time, it becomes more of from the mind to the heart. Okay, and that's where I develop the other factors, the trust and the common philosophy of I can agree to disagree with you on this or that, but our hearts are in the right place, kind of thing. And so I cannot imagine that I would ever become a target from either one of those guys or target them in particular, because both of them seem to be decent people and so on, and haven't asked for a target. on their back.
Right.
So Chill Boy asked for one. Okay. So okay. And so, as far as leaders though, okay, now let's go back and exchange the word leader with spokesman. Okay.
Right.
You were going to select a spokesperson. And I hate to say man because, I'm female and I seem to be the only female so far who has received the Shill Target. But it, as far as spokespeople, okay, when we were involved in the Occupy movement, and I was a very vocal person in my community with regards to that. The media immediately, we had big, meetups and held our signs and did everything but block traffic and all that stuff. And I live in a very wealthy community on the west coast of Florida who didn't take kindly, because lots of them are banksters, didn't take kindly to the interruption in their happy little lives with this Occupy thing. But the media, of course, came to our meetups, and they're walking around with a cameraman and a reporter, and they're looking for somebody to talk to. Okay. Now, if you were involved at all in the Occupy movement, you know that there weren't any spokespeople. Everybody was supposed to be equally versed to speak on their own thoughts about the Occupy. All right. But the media, damn them, they need somebody to put that microphone in front of. And so it was inevitable, because I have kind of a way with words, that everybody's pointing, well, go talk to Lori. She knows, she's the one that organized this thing and everything, right? So the minute that microphone got stuck in my face, I felt a responsibility to do no harm, to say nothing controversial, to say nothing that I don't think any of these other people would say, okay, to the media. To either A, put a target on us because, the cops are all there thinking we're just going to make a riot and start breaking windows and things, and nothing could be further from the truth. So the spokesperson thing is quite a responsibility as far as I'm concerned. And that is the thing that I am concerned about, is what's going to come out of their mouths.
Well, I can tell you, unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is NASA, I don't know when. The one thing we all can agree on, this ain't going to last forever. Okay, that we can agree on. Nothing like we talked about infinity, it's not going to last forever, right? And so whether it's 10 years from now, I hope it's in my lifetime, but I think they're going to appoint someone who's going to be, and I'm going back to this, is going to push the dome thing. I'm with it, but I have a feeling that's where they're going to go with this, because they don't want people to start wondering. Because if there's a dome, that would be amazing. I want to see this dome. Like, if I can sit down and just watch, it would be amazing. Put me on the committee. Right, like get a bunch of bleachers and have us all sit out in front of this giant dome. It'd be like the best, amusement, But the thing is, I don't know what's going to happen. I really think, but it's going to probably happen within the next 40 years. I think NASA's going to try to fake another Mars mission. I think they're going to do that, because they're going to push the envelope to see how much bullshit people are going to buy. Like, they're going to keep pushing it and say, okay, they're dumb enough to believe this. Let's give them some more bullshit. And then they're going to add some more on and add some more to the point this was so ridiculous.
But you're not taking into consideration that there is a real-time, real live awakening going on.
Yes. True.
We don't know how it's happening. We don't know if it is a cyclical thing where every so many years, there's an awakening, like there was in the 60s, and like there was, in the late 1800s. there's been several cycles of awakenings that have happened just to humans in general, okay?
Right.
And what's happened is they got hijacked every single time, just like this one can. And that is why the spokespeople and who's in charge of stuff is so vitally important, because I watched the 60s get hijacked. I know, thank you very much. God bless me with some good genes, but I'm old, okay? And so I was around both as a child, you know, as a prepubescent teenage type, all the way through my early 20s, of watching the process of the hippie movement to the yippie movement to the anti-war movement and love child, you know, peace, love, and rock and roll. And I watched all that happen. I was in it. I was passionate. I'm in it. Okay. And then now I look back and I see, because now I have hindsight, I see where the trips came along the way, you know, where they tripped us up. The civil rights movement, all those things, I've watched the trip switches. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know what they can use. And they're pulling out all the stops right now. They're using every single thing they have in the kitchen, including the kitchen sink, right now on us, on this movement. It is that vital. It is that important. It is that centrifugal to when they have to do a disclosure, how they're going to do the disclosure, how the new world order is going to be finalized. I mean, we're already living in the new world order. Most people won't even admit to that yet. Okay. I've admitted to that 10 years ago. We've been in the new world order since 9/11. And so but it is not official until, you know, you look around and there's literally barbed wire fences and crap, and they've fully implemented Agenda 21, and they fully implemented the Georgia Guidestones, right?
Right.
So I am unlike you. I think this thing is now. I think it's happening now. The disclosure of flat Earth is right now. Okay? We're just in the infancy of knowing it. You've known it for longer than the rest of the people, so you're on this slow burn kind of coast down the hill kind of thing.
I'm holding on to hope. I'm still.
Well, and you should. And you've had a lot longer to think about how it's going to spin and when it's going to happen and who's, you know, all that. And it's one of the reasons why you have such a hyper focus on NASA. Okay, for example, I don't really have that much focus on NASA. To me, NASA's a lie. Everything about NASA's a lie. Everything always has been, everything's been a lie. Okay. All you have to do is watch Capricorn 1, the movie Capricorn 1, and you will literally see the bullshit of the moon landing, this entire space hoax, and everything about the ISS and the satellites and all that stuff. If you just shut your damn mouth, if you're a glober, you just shut your damn mouth long enough, just put some duct tape over it and just shut up long enough for somebody to take an hour, 1 hour out of your freaking football watching life and show you photos, videos, film footage, blogs, articles, stories of the lie, of all of the evidence of the lie. And the mountain of evidence.
I think and this maybe become, because like you said, I've been looking at this a little longer. I do think that most people are just going to go along with their lives because it's not an immediate, like they're going to say, well, okay, the earth is flat, so what? I still got to go to work. I still got to pay my bills, put my daughter in daycare, you know, turn the channel. I want to watch something more important than some flat earth crap. And, I think it's just going to continue to go until it becomes an issue. There's going to be a lot of people wake up from just Google, and we have the internet now. I think that's going to wake a lot of people up, but I think it's still going to be a huge segment of people who will just get on the internet to watch Miley Cyrus, Rihanna, and
But they're doing that for escapism.
Right,
the
right.
reason why they're escaping, okay, is because now the reason to escape is even that much bigger, that much more vital, because now, after 10 years of us harping on them day after day, week after week, month after month about the fake government and the fake money system and the fake false flags and the fake, they know they're not stupid. They, in their little place in their brain that talks to them before they go to sleep at night, they know that they live in the matrix. Okay. Yeah. They know that it's all bullshit. Okay. Yeah. But they feel because associated with all that, fear, paranoia, danger, shit's happening and people are killing each other and attacking and bombs and wars. And they're just like, they're like a 6-year-old kid in 1960 hiding under their rickety little desk from the bomb that's going to drop on their head any second, and don't look at the light.
Right. Escapism.
Okay. So can you blame them? So here's the thing. Here's the spin that's so vitally important here. Okay. If we are positive and we stop this bickering and infighting and shillage and every other bullshit thing, if we stop it, we say no more negativity, we don't have room for that, then, and keep the flat earth movement positive, which is, by God, if it's all I've tried to do for the last several months, is positive. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I don't think we're going to get everyone on board, but I think we'll get enough people where we can actually modify the Antarctica Treaty. I think we can't get rid of it totally, but we can tweak it to the point that they will allow some people to go in and take a look. Now,
so that's why I think that it's vitally important to get off of NASA, because to me, NASA has been debunked, and get on the treaty.
True. For you and I, but the average person out there, I tell them, look, they didn't go to the moon, and they want to argue for about 4 hours, and
then whatever that is just not working. That switch hasn't been flipped in them yet. We're no different than computers. We got ones and zeros. That's all we are. We're yes and no, ones and zeros. Okay. Right. So if your one hasn't happened and you're still on zero, you're not going to see it. You're not going to see the bullshit. Okay. Right. But the treaty, okay, to me is a positive thing, because NASA represents tear down NASA. Okay. The treaty represents, undo the treaty. Stop the treaty. Stop the military buildup, protection of boats, sinking people who want to go and explore. Okay. Right. And we need to break down. We need to put the focus. This is just me talking, but we need to put the focus on what the treaty actually says, what the doublespeak of the treaty says. And we need to analyze, how are they spinning something that's, have you ever read the commandments of the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah, they have to eliminate.
Oh my God, they sound awesome. If I didn't know better, I would read that and I would go, damn right. Yeah, I don't want to be one of the several billion people y'all got to kill in order to get her down to 500 million. But in theory, rah, it sounds awesome.
Right.
Okay, so the treaty is written in a language that sounds awesome to the automatic liberal mindset. Okay, there aren't even any polar bears there. Okay, save the emperor penguins and save the oil and no fracking and all that other stuff. See, they've done enough of that, all that shit everywhere else that you're just like, oh, we got this one little pristine place left. But it's not one little pristine place. It's a great, big, huge place, okay? And it may have enough resources on it that helps everybody in the whole world without ruining it, okay? Right. And if there is a dome, then we know we have a finite ecosystem within to operate. That's it. That's all we got. If there's a dome over this thing, then maybe that would wake a bunch of people up and say, you know, maybe now you can understand why these big corporations shouldn't be dumping crap everywhere and making shit out of plastic everywhere, and maybe we need to get it together a little better, okay?
Right.
So there's a benefit to dome or no dome, and there's a benefit to understanding the treaty.
Right. I think that's going to be, we're going to have to, man, it was going to have to start young, because the problem with telling people about the treaty, they'll go, okay, well, you know, it's nothing but ice down there anyway, so who the hell cares? Why am I going down to an icy mountain? Like, what is there? Let them keep the treaty, right? And we're telling them, no, there's more there. Well, see, that's why we got to get them off of the ball. They got to get off of the ball, because and the thing about it is, you know, children growing up, they see those little toy Atlas globes that they spin around, and I mean, kids are playing with this. You know, I was, you know, watching one of my friends. I love him dearly, but you know, his child was playing with a little toy globe. So from like the kid, his child is like 6 months old. So this is coming from like, you know, right after they're coming out of the womb, they're already seeing globes everywhere, right? So we have to tell people there are no photographs of Earth. See, the people have to get that in their heads. They got to know that we're not on the ball before we could get to the Antarctica Treaty.
I see where every bit of it's inextricably tied, and I got to give it to these rat bastards that put this whole thing together, because it's brilliant. I mean, y'all have had a long, long time to formulate your little plan, your little script, and kudos to you for, you know, brainwashing and indoctrinating everyone. You know, way to go, good job. But here's the trick. We see you. There's a whole bunch of us out here, and we see you, and we see what you're doing, and we see, you know, your lies, and we see you perpetuating the lies, even though you know we know. And so there's that. Okay. And then there's also this other thing. People have been telling their children, some of the flat earthers that I know of that have young children, you know, they're like that close from pulling their kids out of public school, and they would love to homeschool them, but they know there's the license and the testing and the in-home visits and all that crap that do everything it can to prevent you or discourage you from homeschooling your children. So they tell their kids, we actually live on a flat earth, and let me show you some things, and let me explain some things. And the kids are like, oh, cool, that's really cool. And oh, that's really cool. But kids, you can't go to school and tell your teacher and your friends that you know, because you'll end up in the principal's office. Right. So this just has to be between me and you. Okay.
Right.
How shitty is that?
Yeah. I mean, that is just, I mean, the thing is, we're really going to have to get people to think differently, because the public school is just pumping them out every second. Like, as you and I speak, there's a kid being indoctrinated with the globe right now. So
Millions of kids.
Millions of kids. So the thing is that we know we're not on the ball because we've done the test. We've done the test ourselves. We did the long-range telescope experiments. Duranovism did his like. We're doing the test ourselves. So we know we're not on the ball. The deal is that we have to give people, because it's going to solve every problem. Once we get people off the ball, the religion, the fights, wars over racism, sexism, all of this goes down the drain. Because, I mean, right now they got the Confederate flag thing, and I have nothing personal against it, but they made it the latest fad. So what they've done is they said, okay, you can't have your Confederate flag. No, people are going to react to that. And then now,
well, of course, and then they brought that whole issue out at the exact same time that you got the gay banner flag flying around,
right,
Confederate flag, and then every one of these flags represents somebody's cultural belief system.
Right, and then last year was the ice bucket.
About social engineering.
Right. Last year they had the ice bucket challenge where they was, remember that? Everyone was taking. So
I think I was like one of the only people in the whole country that didn't dump ice on their head.
They are trying to keep us busy with any stupid thing they can come up with.
Of course.
Just so we don't ever.
What's the big deal? Why y'all think? Why are you so serious? Why you got a problem with some dumping ice on your head? It's for it's for a good cause. What's the matter with you?
Right, and all the celebrities were doing it. So then it was this flag, then it's that flag, then it's this, celebrity
then it's Ebola,
or whatever.
Then it's ISIS. Then it's Mexicans flooding over the southern border. I mean, I could go on. You and I could go on and on with that shit for the whole next hour of a boatload of distractions. Okay,
exactly.
And there's no way. When people, I'm one of the only people that when they say, "Oh my God, what if the grid goes down?" Bring that sumbitch down. I mean, stop. Just turn it all off, and let's see how many people can survive without that grid. Because you know what? I don't know if you know this or not, but there was a whole great big middle America that happened before the grid, before any of that. And people did not die. And
right,
they did not go around killing each other. Lately, here's the one that blows my mind. Okay, this is to add to the fear. Okay, how many apocalyptic movies have you seen in the last several years that were an asteroid's going to hit, an epidemic's about to blow, a tsunami's coming, and one thing after another of epic human wipeout movies, okay?
Right.
And every single one of them, what do? What is their premise? Every single one of them. It turns into utter chaos. People run out in the street. They automatically start killing each other and stealing each other's cars and beating each other up and taking their food and just doing all these horrible things. I watched one the other night where they only had a few hours to live and everybody started killing each other. And this whole group of people over here was all doing drugs and having orgies and just completely went to just total Sodom and Gomorrah in just a matter of minutes. Okay. Instead of people sitting around and singing Kumbaya and here we go, this is it, let's love on each other until it's over. Okay. Which is what I think would happen personally. Okay?
Yeah.
But they're programming you to fear that the minute something epic happens, that it's every man for himself. Get your guns, get your weapons, hoard your food, and so that's what will happen because they're programming everybody to think that's what will happen.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's called social engineering.
Right. Hollywood is doing a hell of a job, and they always telling us too, peak oil. I don't know if you heard of that conspiracy.
Oh my God!
Right. So they're saying
I was worried
that
about it. I was friends with Michael C. Rupert on Facebook for years.
Oh yeah, me too. Before he was
one of my friends, and
Michael C. Rupert knew me too. I was friends with him. Michael C. Rupert, I have to give him. He blew his brains out.
The whole world's going to shit, and it's happening in the next.
But he might be right about that. Everything going to shit because he might be right about that.
But if you're just going to sit back and go, well, it's going to shit. Let's let it happen. Damn.
Yeah. He killed himself, and I actually cried when I saw that documentary.
Oh, me
it was
too.
really sad.
It's very sad. He was really a great guy. I mean, he was misinformed. He was wrong. And maybe that's why he killed himself, because he did build his whole fortress around peak oil.
Right. And because he was under the impression, like most people are, that oil comes from dinosaurs, and some dead plants and maybe some bacteria here and there.
It's pushed under pressure.
Right, organic matter, right? And so everyone's under this impression. So we think there is a limited supply. There's so much. I mean, oil's like water, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's being made at this very second, right underneath your feet.
Right, and they do that so they can jerk up the gas prices. So when you go to the pump, in 2 months from now, it's like up $3. And then they bring it back down $1. Then it's back up $5.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it got more expensive or less expensive to pump it out of the ground. I don't think so.
Right.
You know?
So the oil,
but as we all know, okay, that whole thing's been perpetuated for the purpose of preventing any other form of energy, free or otherwise, lower cost form of energy from coming to the table, fully divesting us of the oil thing and the stink and the smell and the spillage and every other thing. Okay.
Right.
But again, is it just another facet of the freaking ball? Okay. Because you can't undo one of these things without undoing all of these things. Okay. So yes, it's vitally important for people to stop believing in the ball, but it's also vitally important. And I believe this with my whole heart because I've had too many conversations with people about all of the other conspiracy theories, including and centered around the New World Order for quite some time. Okay. Until they can see that there's a plan B or an option out, and without all of the horribleness that comes with the collapse of the system that we have, which is how they have us all by the short hairs. Okay.
Right.
The collapse of the system that we have is going to lead to B, death, doom, destruction, zombies, killing, Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
Death. Okay.
Right.
There's no if, and, or but. A leads to B. Okay. And it doesn't have to. Okay. If tomorrow you took a segment of society and you took them off the grid, I don't care if you jerked them off the grid, just like pull the plug, boom, bang, no, nothing. Okay. And just did an experiment. No one's done it. No one's done a world experiment with
Some people gonna have a fit though. Like some people gonna because they want their microwave.
You know what? I'll be that woman in the movie that when the woman starts going, oh my god, and I just like slap.
Yeah.
Snap out of it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
So do you understand what I'm saying about a plan? You know, we have to show people. This is all part of this Constitution, okay? This Declaration of Independence, this council. It is to show people all of these things we're talking about, okay? Because what's happening now is you have all of these individuals all asking different questions, all running scenarios in their heads, individually and in small groups. Well, what if? You know, well, we've been raised to live in a what if kind of situation. Okay. But here's the deal. There's a big damn difference between fear and danger. And most people don't know the difference. Right. They don't know that fear is in the mind. When you hear a noise in the dark at night, you lay there for the next 5 minutes, breathing real quiet. Your eyes are all big. And you're trying to figure out what was that noise, and your brain's running through every scenario. Was that a branch fell on the roof, or was that you okay? And that's fear. Danger is when you hear that noise, and 5 seconds later, somebody comes busting in your bedroom with a knife and screaming, and they're going to kill you. Now that's freaking danger. Okay.
Right.
But if that never happens, that was just fear. Okay.
Absolutely.
You can't control fear.
Absolutely. All of our fears, like you said, danger. Like we have that instinct, like, you know, back in primitive times.
The lizard brain thing with the paralysis.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like if we see a lion, that's danger. You know, we're automatically going to go into fight or flight mode, right? But this kind of crap today, oh, I can't pay my cell phone bill, or, you know, it's like, oh, I gained 15 pounds, I can't wear this dress. So those kind of fears are made up and manufactured. And
right, and that is what is called social engineering of fear, okay?
Right.
And they've been doing it to us since 9/11 non-stop. Of course, they started it way back prior to the Cold War, okay? The whole Cold War was fear, because now we know, don't we, that the countries of Russia and the United States were together in a treaty to protect the entire perimeter of the world, as like little buddies. Oh, you patrol over there, and we'll patrol over here. And meantime, their mouthpiece leaders are going, "No, we're going to bomb you. Oh, you can't," and, you know, yappity yap. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, hide under the desk," and all that. All right. So how much of that Cold War fear mongering was real, and how much of it was, you know, because obviously which one would supersede the other? A war between these two countries, or this silly little treaty? Okay. Because they would turn their backs on a silly little treaty if they decided to go to war with each other. If we need our naval ships to stop patrolling the perimeter and bring them in here for actually like shooting at each other, okay, then that treaty's going to be like, see ya, we'll figure that out later, right? But that never happened.
That never happened.
So okay, here's the place where they've got everybody, and this is the part that I try to snap people out of, okay? With social engineering, like movies and television, and showing you scenarios that could possibly play out and how awful they would be, okay?
Right.
They create a scenario running in your head of not only of constant fear, but of the reaction associated with fear. And that is paralysis, fear paralysis, okay?
Right.
That's what keeps you in your bed going, what was that? What was that? What was that? What was that? And enough time goes by, nothing happens. You're like, okay, I guess I can relax and go back to sleep now after that adrenaline buzz wears off, okay? Me, I'm the kind of person, I'm not going to put myself through all that crap. I'm going to reach over and turn the light on, and I'm going to, you know, walk out there, and I'm going to look around. I'm going to see if anybody's in the house. I'm going to check in the closet, and I'm going to look around, and I'm going to see that I'm safe so I can relax and go back to sleep. Because that's how I work. The first scene in The Matrix, the first movie, first scene, Trinity's running from the agents. Right. Trinity.
Right.
She's got to get to the telephone booth to get out of the Matrix.
Right.
Okay. The agents are chasing her, and she's running and jumping rooftops and flying through windows and rolling down staircases, and she gets to the bottom of the staircase, and she has both guns like this, and she's standing there and she's looking at the window, and you can hear her say, "Move, Trinity," right? Move, Trinity. Get up.
Man,
get up.
The Matrix, one of the best movies. I mean, I could watch that 100 times.
Do you know how many times I think that in my head now? The impact of that, because that's how I operate. That's how my mind works. Get up, Trinity. Move.
Yeah, right. People need to. But you know what's going to happen? Do you remember in the part in The Matrix where Cypher was the guy who he woke up out of the Matrix, but then he got like, he didn't like to see reality. He didn't want it. He wanted to go back.
The slop that they had to eat for dinner every night and all that.
Right. So he said, he asked one of the agents to put him back in the Matrix to sell out Neo. There's going to be a lot of people like that. We're going to get people who are going to come right into the flat earth. They're going to be here a while, and they're going to say, I like the fantasy. I like, Star Trek and all of this stuff. And then they're going to want to go right back to sleep. Right. So those we have to stay vigilant on them and
like
keep
the
them
guy
away.
who sold out my inbox messages, like that guy, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So the thing is, we have to understand that they make us afraid, but they're afraid as well. We see a lot of documentaries on YouTube where it's like the Illuminati, and then they show the horns and the, it's satanic and it's red everywhere, and like they make it seem like it's this evil cabal in a Bohemian Grove that's sacrificing babies and doing all kind of crazy stuff. The reality is, all they are just people who are afraid. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of us. That's why they're lying to us. And so we don't have this real...
Well, there are some doing that whole weird crap.
There are people who are doing...
Not all of them.
They're not... But see,
evil minions who will do anything for anybody because that's the closest they're ever going to get to having a little bit of power.
Yeah, I mean, you got sickos, pedophiles here in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So they come in no matter what so-called class you're from, right? But the thing is that they're afraid of us, and they're going to keep doing whatever somebody has to say, look, tell us the truth. We're not going to bombard this place. Let's get rid of the idea of scarcity, because we know you're hiding stuff over there, because why are you protecting us from ICE? Come on, there's something going on. Now, let me say this, Lori. That map that you see, I think all of those continents, not the fact that it's flat, but the shape of the continents themselves, I think that's pretty accurate, because you and I can measure Florida. Like, we drive all the time, so we know. I've been to the West Coast, so we know. If you keep going east, you're going to run in the water. So we got that part correct. That part is correct.
Except that Africa is too small. But
right. Africa's too small and it's disproportionate, but for the most, yeah.
Hey, and you know what? This is something that I learned about a while back, and nobody can answer this for me. And the first person who can answer, you know how you do all this cute little contests on your group? Yeah. Tell everybody what the name of your group is. And your website or your YouTube.
My YouTube is Stars or Souls. I plan on changing that name. But that's my name for now. My group on Facebook is Hidden Continents. They're hiding more land. And there you can come and you can kind of share your ideas with people who think like you. You can talk about a dome. You can share that, but try not to overdo it. And I also have a book called Beyond the Horizon. It's on Amazon. Just type in Flat Earth Beyond the Horizon and you'll see it. It's by Mike Stars. And of course, that's a 45-page book. I just put it out. And I also want to let people hear this really quick, is that a lot of this, it's a serious subject to me. It's dear to my heart, but it's also a hobby. It's also a hobby. So this is not some kind of business that I got going that I'm trying to. I never planned on getting rich off a Flat Earth book. No, I'm not that dumb, right? So this is just a cute little thing.
Somebody will. Somebody will.
Somebody will. But the thing is, just like you go out and you play remote control helicopters out in the field, and that's a hobby. This is a hobby for me. Right. So I enjoy doing it, but it is a serious subject. So I think that that's my information. So go check that out.
So on your Facebook group, Hidden Continents, you run these little contests that with people, and you put up pictures from the International Space Station and say, what's wrong with this? Or you'll put up a picture of the Earth from the Apollo 17 mission, the fake ball, and you'll say, what's wrong with this? Show me what's wrong with this. And obviously it turns into a fun competition, but most people, the purpose of it, and it's a great idea that you're doing that, the purpose of it is to make people inspect some of this photography, some of these videos, some of these pictures of things that are obviously bullshit, okay?
Right.
But so one of them that I want you to do is because you got that format going on now, is I learned that 90% of the human population of Earth lives above in the northern hemisphere, or otherwise known in the flat Earth as hemiplane, above the equator line. And if you look at an azimuthal flat Earth equidistant map, the round one with the, ice around the outside, you will see that the equator is pretty close to the center of the distance out,
right.
okay? So you have the Tropic of Cancer at the top, then you have the equator, and then you have the Tropic of Capricorn. And the equator, everything north of the equator is the northern hemisphere, hemiplane. 90% of the human population lives in the northern hemisphere.
Right, they live in the first half of the radius from the center. So
But Mike, you go and look at that map, that round Earth map.
Yeah.
And you see how much real estate is south of that equator. All of South America, all of Africa, a whole lot of Asian, islands, Australia. 90% of the people live in the northern hemisphere.
Something doesn't make sense, because if you look at this, South America, Africa, and Australia, those are huge. So you're telling me everybody's crammed?
They're not as highly populated as China, Europe, North America.
Well,
all that.
True, but it's based also. But yeah, you know what it is? I think they may be going off. There might be more people in a concentrated area in the United States, but since Africa's so big, everyone's spread out. So, but it still will come out to being more people. Because I just can't see how everyone's like crammed in like New York City. Like there has to be people in Australia.
I don't know what the populations are city by city, because city by city they do, census every so many years.
Yeah.
So it's you have these numbers to dispute in this hand of city by city, country by country, and then you have the map of where they're laid out.
Right.
What I'm saying is that the continents cannot possibly be situated where they say they are.
Right.
As far as where the equator is, or what they're calling the equator. I believe the equator.
I see what you're saying.
I believe the real equator, because the equator is
it's in our
an
mind.
illusionary thing. I mean, there isn't a line that runs around the freaking world that like you can walk on the equator, right?
Right.
Just like there isn't a line between states, where they took some of that orange, bright paint, whatever, and make a line all the way around states. And because a lot of states, the dividing lines are rivers and stuff like that, right?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay? I want you to look at all the maps that you have, because you got a whole lot of different kinds of maps. And I want you to, like, where is that equator? And why are they saying 90% of the people live on the northern side of that equator, and how much real estate is actually below the equator? Because I want to shove it down. I want to shove it down a lot farther. And that means shoving down the Tropic of Capricorn a little bit. And that also shoves down the Tropic of Cancer. And that helps the whole sunlight thing. People are putting those circles on the flat Earth map based on the globe, like flattening out the globe. And I don't think it's like that.
I don't think any map is totally accurate. I think that's kind of impossible too, to actually go, because even though the surveyors, they share information, there's probably a database where it all goes in, but I think that it's still, when you're dealing with those larger numbers, a lot can get misconstrued. I think if you took a closer look, you would see that there really is not really that much sharing of information. And that goes back to what I was saying about the 7 billion people that live on Earth. I want people out there to really question everything. Like, don't just question the moon landings. Don't just question even the population.
Yeah, I mean, is there only 7 billion people, or is there more?
Or less? Right. It could be
I
either
don't know,
one.
like if you at 5 o'clock in Atlanta, Georgia, there is way more than 7 billion people because they're all in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Right then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Again, I think my thing is the only reason I don't really go with the 7 billion number is because then you start going into overpopulation and you start falling into there, and then we still have to start picking and choosing who deserves to be here and who doesn't. Who that goes into the whole eugenics mindset. So I really want people.
Because then on the other hand, they'll turn around and tell you, you'll read something on the internet that says, well, if you take the entire population and you take the square miles of Texas and you give every single person in the world 1,500 square feet, they all fit in Texas.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of...
And all the rest of the world has no people in it. Now, is that overpopulation? Of course, they're not all going to live standing 1,500 feet from each other.
Right, because you go to Utah, I mean, there's like 1,000, I mean,
there's like Utah, no people there. Right.
No people there. Like, if you go to, like, I mean, if you just, like, actually, if you drove from California to Florida, I had a friend who drove from California to Florida. He says the whole middle America is nothing but farmland. It's like empty.
Tons of miles with no people. Except those are on that highway.
Right.
They're all on the highway. They're all everybody's got a car and they're all on the highway when you're on the highway. So that's why it's so easy to sell. Exactly. Saw those people. But so here we just discovered 2 more possible lies that help support the fear-based Newtonian scientific spinning ball bullshit. Okay.
Exactly.
So every time we talk, I bet we could come up with a bunch more of those every single time. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And the only reason why we can is because all these years we've all been busy doing stuff and busy with our phone in our hand and busy driving and watching TV and cooking dinner and going to the grocery store and doing all the stuff that we do because we're living in society. We're living in, modern times, which aren't they great?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
And so we don't have time to question, and we left that all up to the technocrats, the people who are so smart in every different division and every different, specialty, who know everything about that and just trust us because we're scientists and trust us because we're technocrats. And we're just leave everything in our hands. We're doing the best for everybody that, that is possible or that we should be doing. All right. And now, finally, a bunch of lazy ass people, me included, okay, who have spent a long time just letting it all be and letting it all go and not questioning anything, okay, started to question. And then every time you ask another question and you start digging, you find another question that's needs a new answer.
Right. And what I want any young person out there listening to me, I mean, you may not know me personally, but I want everyone to get into the habit of questioning everything. Don't leave anything.
And you gotta punk you into thinking that you're causing problems because you're asking questions. Okay. Now, if you're just being a butthead and you're just going, well, why? Little kid, well, why, daddy? Why, daddy? Why? And you're answering them and they're just now because they need attention and they keep asking. Okay. That's different. What we're saying is if your teacher tells you the earth is a spinning ball, then you have the human right to question that information and say, prove it. Right. And if the teacher goes, now, Johnny, you go to the office. Okay. If enough Johnnies go to the office, then sooner or later, okay, I was one of those people in school that got a dress code changed in high school from having all the girls had to wear skirts, dresses, or pantsuits. That
Right.
was cool back then. Okay. And I was a hippie and I wanted to wear jeans. Okay. And they said, no, 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 sorry, no jeans. So you know what I did? Little Miss Organizer. I got a whole bunch of people in my sophomore class to wear jeans tomorrow to school. What are they going to do? Send us all home? Okay. And we all came to school. Whole bunch of us came to school and we all got sent home. And I said, it's okay. I remain undaunted. I am going to push it until we can wear blue jeans to school. Okay.
Right.
And we did it day after day after day. And for a whole week, we got sent home from school. I spent a whole bunch of time in the counselor's office. But by the end of a week, maybe 2, they changed the dress code and we were able to wear jeans. They couldn't be torn and they couldn't be tattered.
Oh, so you hit that sizable number of people where it was enough to create change. And so we don't need everybody onto the ball. We just need enough.
Right. We need enough intelligent people willing to question and willing to listen to this new information. And then we need them to, go and prove to themselves that what we're telling them sounds right. It's proving out. Okay. And then once you get there, I'm going to tell you what, there's no holding you back. You won't just say, well, okay, now I know it. Now I'm just going to go on about my business. Okay. Because it don't work that way. Once you get off the ball, you'll never get back on it. Ain't no going back into the matrix. It just does not happen. Now, if there's a few that act like they have, it's bullshit. It's fake. They didn't ever get off the ball. They just acted like they did. Okay.
Right.
And I'm gonna call out Rob Skiba right here. Okay. He's one of those guys that just keeps sitting on the fence and sitting on the fence. You got a whole bunch of people saying, oh, come on, Rob, you've seen you should fall off the fence on the flat earth side. Oh no, I still haven't been completely proven. Rob, nobody needs to prove to you the earth is flat. You just have to see that it's not a round spinning ball. Once you're there, you can't come back from that. Okay, so get off the ball.
All right, I'm not going to get into calling anybody anything, so I'm going to refrain from doing that. But how many shills do?
He's just one. He's just one. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, because my thing is, I estimated that who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody, and I said I estimate that there's about 10,000 shills in America. 10,000. So if each state would have,
they're in my Facebook.
Yeah, because people are not going to just go when they see the pictures of the Pluto and all of this. People will wake up. So they need a cheerleader. They need a shill out there to be pushing this stuff, sharing articles, publishing this. And so Rob Skiba, that is really interesting because from what I've seen, I don't know him in person, but he seemed like an intelligent guy. He seemed like he knew enough that there's no way we're on a ball. So, I mean, what's going on here? Like, I mean, how much more?
So he's just one guy, okay? And I call him out because it's like this. Once you put yourself out there, you're out there, okay?
Right.
I've put myself out there. So I'm taking all of the crap that I'm getting dumped on me, and that's okay because it's that important to me, all right? But once you put yourself out there and you start saying stuff, then you're in the public domain now, okay? So it's not just people, it's not just Rob. It's scientists who have come out a little bit in favor of flat earth. They're questioning some things, okay? What are you afraid of? Because if little old me can have a target on my back, come join the crowd. It's fun where we are, okay? Because you know what? I'm not dead yet. And if I die as a result of being a martyr for flat earth, well, what does that say? Where are we now? Okay.
Well, you know what? You and I are considered rebels because a lot of people are holding on to the ball only for one reason. They think that our government is lying to us for our benefit. That's what they believe. They believe the government's lying to us for our benefit, that they're hiding something in Antarctica. It must be for a good reason. So a lot of people hold that sort of patriotism towards their country that they don't want to come out, oh, well, your government's lying to you. Oh, yeah, okay, they must be doing it for a good reason. So it's okay for them to lie to us. Like, they don't want to look any further into it because this is their country. But countries really don't exist, and governments don't exist either.
No, they don't. And you know what else? If I'm like 5 years old and you lie to me because like my mom's dying and it's more than I need to handle right now, or let's say like a whole bunch of crappy things happened to me. I got a divorce, my car won't work, my house is in foreclosure, you know, my dog died, my pickup truck won't run. One of those country songs. And one more shitty thing's coming down and you want to protect me from it. Lying by omission might seem like the right thing for you to do. But let's go back to I'm 5. Once I get past 5 and I like know the world a little bit, okay,
Right.
You don't get to decide for me what information I can handle or not, okay? So you're lying to me by omission now becomes just a lie. And now I don't trust you anymore because
True.
you lied to me. Okay, so I don't trust my government anymore because they've lied to me a whole bunch of times. Okay?
It takes me 2 times. You lie to me 1 time, you're lucky if you're going to get a chance to lie to me the 2nd time. I mean, I just need 1 strike and that's it. Some people give 3 strikes. 1 strike, you lie, it's over. Like I have 0 trust.
It's the same thing with if you're mean to me. Okay, if you do something shitty or mean to me, okay, if you do it the first time, and I ask you, okay, so hey, that was shitty. Did you do that on purpose? Did you mean to do that on purpose?
Right.
Or was that just like an accident or a one-off or what happened there? Okay.
Right.
And if you can look me straight in the eye and go, you know, actually, I was just being shitty, but I'm sorry I was. So
well, that's honesty. That's honesty. I like that.
Okay, now we're good. Okay, we're good. But I will be the kind who will say to you straight to your face, was it me that took that wrong? Or was that your intention to be shitty?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now the ball's back in your court. You can lie and go, oh, I'm so sorry. You took that wrong. I had no intention of being shitty. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Then we're good. Now, if you do it again, then let your intentions be known lest they ever be considered. But now now you're on notice. Okay. I know that you might have been
probation.
Being shitty on purpose. Okay. But I called you out and now we're on the same plane. So that's kind of how I am with the government and people who lie to me, people who say, well, it's just my job. Okay. Let's take that. It's just your job. You work for NASA and you have some, like in the movie Capricorn 1, okay, where the guy's sitting at his little console and he starts noticing that, the numbers of the amount of time that the message is coming back from Mars to my console is not the same amount of time as it ought to be. It's somehow closer because they were out in the desert, right? Doing the fake Capricorn 1.
Right.
All right. So he goes to his supervisor and he says, sir, something's wrong with the telemetry, something, blah, blah, blah. And his boss says, Hal Holbrook, he's always plays a really good bad guy. He says, no, there's something wrong with your console. We're going to have that looked at. Okay. So the guy is like, okay, but he's not real sure. And so, but now he's got it going on in his head that something's not right. Right. Now that's where whistleblowers should come from right then and there. They should go to the next superior above that superior, and they should continue to question. It's just as much your important job to question inside these organizations, corporations, and the government because we're all relying on you because you're freaking in it. We're not in it. We don't, you know, we're out here waiting for the crap that you're putting out for us to go analyzing. So if you're in it, you are just as complicit as the liars if you don't go to a superior, put your job on the line. And I'm as straight up as I can be about that. I mean, I mean that from everything I got. If your job relies on you lying and you being complicit in cheating, lying, stealing government funds from organizations that are cheating, lying, and stealing, okay? If you're complicit, you're just as culpable as the next person. You're just as responsible. You're just as guilty. Done.
Yeah. You have to. I mean, and that's for the people at NASA. Oh, and to add to that idea, I think people at NASA want to expose it. I really do. I think there's people at NASA that intentionally make terrible photos so that some of us say, "Oh, okay, this is a game," right? Like the Pluto photo, for example. I'll use that again.
Boy,
you know, somebody, wow. either that was some drunk kids messing around, but I think they intentionally did that to see, let's see how many people are going to catch on. Let's maybe ease the idea that they're living on a flat earth.
It isn't any different than the false flags that we've been witnessing over the last several years. I don't know how much of a conspiracy theorist you've been, but I've been a pretty darn good one myself, okay? And I see these fake photos coming out of these shootings, killings, ISIS beheadings, all kind. I posted an ISIS beheading one today, as a matter of fact, on my Facebook. You know, here they all were on the set with the guy in the black with the knife and the guy in the orange jumpsuit on his knees on the ground, and they're in a setting and a green screen, for crying out loud. And you know, if you don't question these things, and you're stuck in the fear mode, back to that, then you're never going to snap out of it. If you don't start, if you think that those of us who are questioning, oh my God, how dare you? Children died at Sandy Hook. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. That was all bullshit. Okay. And if me saying that it's bullshit makes you mad, fine. But here's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you mad enough to go and look at what I'm saying.
Well, you know what they say?
Not mad enough to go, you're an asshole, you're a liar, you. No, it's not me. There's a whole bunch of me's out there.
They use the American, you're anti-American if you say that nobody died at Sandy Hook. You're anti-American if you say that the Boston bombings were a hoax. You're anti-American. There was 19 hijackers that took down the Twin Towers living in a cave. Somehow they were able to do that.
With
if you say anything, the box cutters. If you say anything against that, you're anti-American. The deal is, man, we live in a beautiful world. Like, I mean, it is amazing what the creator has done. Like, I became more spiritual when I found out the earth was flat. Because you know, for a long time, I thought I came from a freaking primate. Like, that's what they were telling me. I believed it. I was like, okay, I came from a Neanderthal, and I believed that stuff. And now I'm like, okay, I'm happier to know that I was put here in each individual's divine. Like, I see you. I'm looking at you right now. I won't see another Lori if I go out to Walmart. You're unique. Yeah, some of us have the same features, but we're not exactly the same. Like, each individual. And so, you know, I mean,
you and I even bought into the fact that this lily white skin and your brown skin are different because of where we came from.
Right. That and they use that too. That's another polarizing thing.
Your people spent way too much time in the sun, and my people must have lived in caves.
Right. Right. And the deal is that, and I say this, I made a video of it, so people already know how I feel about it. There are no black or white people. Period. Yes, if you go to Africa, there are people who are dark as shit. I'm not going to lie. But they're not genuinely jet black. Okay, so if you want to be scientific, You have to call people by what they are. I'm a brown-skinned man. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being black. I'm just calling what it is. If I look at a tree, I don't say, oh, that's a black tree if it has brown bark. It doesn't make sense. So if I'm looking at someone who's classified as Caucasian and they have actually very light skin, it's not white, it's light. I've seen people really extremely light, Pee Wee Herman light, but they're not actually white. Okay,
Right.
So it's a way. The reason they do that is because they know that, yes, there's different areas of the planet people come from, but they try to divide it up so that they polarize the situation so that when you could be online at Walmart with somebody and they're, they may be from China or whatever, you get this feeling, you're like, and it's not even that, it's because all of that was put in our heads by what we saw on CNN. But I mean, it's the same with the Confederate flag thing. It's look, my thing is this.
It's a piece of cloth, for crying out loud. Y'all just need to get off that. They're just using you as a bunch of dummies to get you all excited about a rag.
And what they've done, and right after September 11th, they got all of these young, innocent young men who want to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing. They got them to sign up to the military, go overseas in a hot-ass place and get killed for something that didn't even happen. So they're using